Air Marshal Mr. Sekon. Am I audible? Am I audible? Perfect. Air Marshal Mr. Sekon, Jai Hind. What an honor it is to take the stage right after you. I heard everything that you had to say. For me, it was either going to be a life of sports or service. I think sports chose me a bit earlier before I could have chosen service, but thank you so much for all you've done for our country. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. When I think of the word legacy, I don't just think of what one leaves behind. I think of what one passes forward. Because legacy isn't a monument made of stone. It is dynamic, like a movement made of moments. And then there is something quieter, something softer, that lives on. I call it the afterglow. Legacy for me feels deeply personal today because I'm standing where my flame was first lit, Alcon International School. This is where everything began. Back in 2001, in its foundation years, when the school itself was still being built. At the helm of it all was Dr. Ashok Pandey, whose leadership didn't just run a school, it lit countless flames, mine included. He reminded us that education is not just about success, it's about service. So today, as I stand here in the same place where I once was as a student, I don't feel like a guest. I feel like one of you. Someone who has walked these same halls, sat in these same classrooms, and dreamed in the same spaces you now call your own. Legacy, I've realized, is not just what we inherit, it's what we choose to pass on. So today, I return not as a student, but as a someone carrying that Alcon light forward. This right here is where my story of legacy began. And today, I can proudly say, I am the afterglow. When I started to think of legacy a few days ago, I thought of one person, someone we all know, Michael Jordan. I know basketball is one of the most played sports in this school, so I think Michael Jordan might resonate with everyone here. Years after his last game, his belief, his work ethic, his defiance of his limits still lights the path for athletes and dreamers everywhere. That's the power of legacy. When it is like a glow in the dark that lights up the path of others long after you're gone. The flame was Michael Jordan, the athlete, the competitor, the legend who refused to lose. But the light, the afterglow, is the Jordan brand. Every time you see that Jumpman logo, every time someone laces up a pair of Jordans, I saw two in the restroom lately, they aren't just buying shoes, they're doing so much more. They are buying a legacy. Because legacy isn't about how long you shine. It's about how long your light lasts after you're gone. Jordan once said, I wanted to win, but I wanted others to win with me. That's the cost of legacy. Sacrifice, teamwork, purpose. You can't fake it, you can't buy it, you build it. Now pause for a moment. Think bigger. India is an afterglow of millions of flames. Freedom fighters who burn bright so we could live free in their light. Bhagat Singh, Gandhi, Patel, Bose, Madam Kama. All of them are countless men and women who accepted responsibilities far bigger than themselves. They didn't live long enough to see the India they dreamed of, but their light still guides millions who live and want to do something bigger than themselves for the community. These great souls gave us not just independence, but identity. And with identity, a sense of responsibility. Bhagat Singh once said, freedom is not a gift, it's a trust passed down from one generation to the next. In technology, our minds lead the world. Sundar Pichai, Satya Nadella, and countless others shaping the future of Silicon Valley. In innovation, India is building a digital revolution, from fintech to space tech, transforming how billions live, work, and connect. In entertainment, we created the world's largest film industry, turning storytelling into a cultural superpower. Whenever India has been allowed to compete on equal footing, we haven't just participated, we have dominated all over the world. Look at cricket. Look at what happened day before yesterday with the Indian women's cricketing team, beating Australia in the highest run chase ever. What a glorious match it was. I hope that changes the narrative for women in sports in India as well. Where once we had the movie Lagan, based on a true story, where we once learned what cricket was for us, to where we are now. We got an opportunity, we fought for it, and now we can safely say we are the best in the world. That's what India has in its core power, and all of you here carry that power with you. Can you move? Slowly but surely, we're rising across every field. Because I've realized this in 28 years of my experience, that talent was never our problem. I lived in America, worked in America. I've traveled about 20 countries, gone, competed, played sports all over the world, met people of different walks of life. Talent was never our problem, opportunity was. Even after centuries of being divided, looted, and dismissed, India rose again. And that is the legacy you, Gen Z, have inherited. The courage to create something from nothing. In no other civilization does a victorious emperor like Ashok turn toward nonviolence, or a bandit like Valmiki write the Ramayana, a moral and spiritual compass for millions. India reminds us, Vasudeva Kutumbakam, the world is one family. To live today is to see beyond borders, to care beyond self-interest, to shape a world where every action serves the greater good. This is the legacy, the afterglow we are born to. India's moral compass reminds us that as the human race, we rise together or we fall together. Of course, we have inherited a fair share of flaws too. Division, corruption, inequality. But legacy isn't only what we're proud of. It's what we must also repair. That's where you, Gen Z, matter most, to turn flawed legacy into brighter futures. You are the most connected and aware generation India has ever seen. But you also live in a world of comparison, distraction, and self-focus. Everyone is chasing visibility, followers, likes, validation. And that's the real test of your generation. Will you shine for yourself, or will you light the way for others? Because legacy doesn't begin with applause or headlines. Legacy begins quietly, in responsibility. It begins with one simple shift, from me to we. Because if each one of us can lift just 10 others, no power on earth can stop this nation's rise. But to do that, Gen Z, you'll have to do a few things, to my count. 1, step out of comfort. The greatest legacies aren't built in safe spaces. They're built in the fire, in late nights, tough losses, uncertain roads, moments when giving up feels easier. Growth doesn't happen when you're comfortable. It happens when you're challenged. When you take that extra rep, when you apply for that opportunity you think you're not ready for, when you have the courage to fail publicly and still show up again the next day. Remember, diamonds are made under pressure. Steel is forged in fire. If you're too afraid to be uncomfortable, you'll never discover how strong you can really be. So step out of the bubble. Discomfort is not your enemy. It's your invitation to grow. 2, choose to burn. Every one of you has a flame, a purpose, a calling, something that makes you come alive. But purpose isn't convenient. It doesn't run on Wi-Fi and motivational quotes. It demands sacrifice, consistency, and courage. You will be tested by failure, by fatigue, by people who don't understand why you care so much. But remember this, The brighter the burn, the longer the afterglow. The burn refines you. It gives you depth, direction, and dignity. So don't be afraid to burn, because one day your fire will light the way for someone still searching for their spark. Third, stay rooted in culture. As you grow, as you dream, as you travel, never forget your roots. Spider-Man, Superman, Batman, Iron Man, Hanuman. Never forget that. Your values, your language, your traditions, they are not old. They're your moral compasses. Stay connected to where you come from. Your parents, your teachers, because your stories, because those roots will steady you when the world tests your balance. Modernity is powerful, but identity is grounding. Fourth, don't seek immediate gratification, please. Good things take time. You are now the best school in all of East Delhi and soon to be in the best in all of Delhi. But trust me, that took time. That's taken years of toiling. We live in a world of speed, instant likes, instant food, instant fame, trying to go viral overnight. That's the content strategy for most of the people I work with. But legacy is built in the long game. It takes years of quiet effort, invisible progress, and patience. Don't chase shortcuts. Anything that lasts, relationships, mastery, impact, requires time. Let the dreamer in you, the one who dared before pressure and comparison set in, be the one who guides you. He deserves your focus. He deserves your discipline. He deserves to see that dream through. Because the longer you burn, the stronger your afterglow. 5, learn to care, but not for validation. Let's also be honest. This generation has it backwards. We don't care enough about others, yet we care way too much about what others think of us. We scroll past people's pain, but overthink one comment on our Instagram post. We crave attention more than we crave connection. Because legacy isn't built on likes, it's built on love. It's built when you care for others without needing an audience. When you show up for your family, your friends, your community, not for validation, but out of value. Don't let opinions become your compass. Care deeply, yes, but care where it matters. Not about being seen, not about being of service. When the truth is, you start chasing approval, when you stop chasing approval, you start creating impact. And the world doesn't need more people who look perfect. It needs more who care enough to make a difference. Shine, not to be seen, but so that others can see. 6th, play sports. I'm a big promoter of that. Sports mirrors real life and the challenges and the tests that you will see far greater than any other classroom. According to my life, sports is the greatest classroom. And my introduction to structured sport happened at Alcon International. Between unfinished buildings, I think outside where you have your amphitheater now, used to be a skating rink. I introduced myself to structured sport. Today, as I stand and whatever I say, I'm a product of sport. Sport mirrors real life, like I said. In India, we look at sport as the means to an end. A government job, a professional contract, a commentator's job. If the livelihood is coming, we'll continue, we'll persist, otherwise we won't, and sometimes we won't even try. Let's change that narrative. Look at sports as the means to any beginning, because sports teaches you when you're conscious and intentful in learning from it. Sports teaches you things which are beyond the classroom. It teaches you teamwork, a sense of collaboration. Obviously, it teaches you discipline. In India, we've minimized sports into looking at it like it's khel, it's games where you go, you're physically fit. Nobody is really paying attention to what happens to the mind because of sport. Get out on the field. Trust me, the transferable skills, when you're conscious and learning from it, that you can transfer from sport to any aspect of your life, be it entrepreneurship, be it academics, is far, far more. Trust me, the focus of an athlete gets the same job done that another person could do in 6 hours, you could do that in 3 because you've trained your mind over time. I could go on and on about why sports is the best thing that you guys can sort of be part of. Today in the morning, I was discussing with Dr. Pandey about holistic learning, and something clicked in my mind just today in the morning. Well, when I play tennis, there's different components to tennis. There's backhand, there's forehand, there's a volley, there's a serve, and there's footwork. And then you have to strategize. But then when you're playing the match and the outcome that you're hoping for is winning, everything comes together. That's the essence of holistic sort of learning as well as the implementation of it. Sports also teaches you how to identify momentum. I hope you guys remember the ICC T20 World Cup match when Virat Kohli was facing I'm forgetting the name of the Pakistani bowler, but it was 28 runs needed in 8 balls. And he had 2 sixes in a row. What happened there? Did we win the match? No, we didn't. But the momentum shifted to us. That's where we are as a nation today. The world has taken notice. The momentum has shifted to us. This is your time to step out of comfort. This is your time to accept responsibility for the man next to you, not just look at yourself. So, Gen Z, the question isn't, can you shine? We all know you can. The team here of Alcon International and all the other educators are working towards nurturing and nourishing this generation to come. But you have to accept the responsibility, because I promise you, the educators have seen the spark, seen the shine, and they're doing their best to nurture that. The question is, will you choose to be the light? Because when you light others, your flame never fades, it actually multiplies. Bhagat Singh's flame died young, but his light still burns in every Indian who stands for something greater than him or herself. Jonas Salk, the person who gave the world the polio vaccine, once said, "Our greatest responsibility is to be good ancestors." He meant we must act not just for ourselves, but for the generations who will come after. Gen Z, the flame has been passed to you. Carry it boldly, light it brighter, leave an afterglow that the world will remember for generations to come. Because legacy, in the end, is not what you keep, it's what you give. Thank you, and Jai Hind.